Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. Tonight with me co-hosting, I have Ken Demers and Sherry Kachanis. And as promised, we would have Miss Pattie Mellman back for a little look at the moon and its influence on our lives. Now, we all know all sorts of stories about the moon and how influential it can be, especially the full moon stories, but we haven't heard about all of the other cycles of the moon and the moon in your sign, your moon sign.
The moon is a very interesting energy. We know that the moon gets its light from the sun, so it's called one of the lights. The sun and moon are called the lights rather than planets, but we call them the lights. And the moon sign represents a lot of different things. It represents the mother or the females in our lives. It represents our emotional nature. It represents the past, or how we reflect or look at our past. It also represents mass consciousness. So however the masses are thinking or influenced would be by the energy of the moon. Mm-hmm. The moon moves through signs in a 2.5-day cycle, so that it's changing, it's constantly changing. Mm. And after I just did a class recently in the moon, I was explaining to the students that you can actually watch the moon go through your chart, and it's going to influence each area of your chart whenever it hits there and when it makes contact with the other planets. So some emotional things could come up, if Pluto and the moon are together, for example, and you needed to look at something in your past, and it would come up with that Pluto-Moon conjunction. So the moon, basically in astrology, if you learn the characterizations of each sign, you can apply them to the planetary energy, if you understand that. And so the moon, for example, if I went through the signs and said, like the moon in Aries, this person would be emotionally impulsive, but also very romantic. Moon in Aries is a very romantic sign, which some people may not realize that because Aries is very high energy, and sometimes Aries can be accused of being too aggressive or too pushy because they're always about getting ahead or being first in line, first. They're the babies of the zodiac. So Moon in Aries is often impulsive emotionally. So somebody may take their time to express something. The Moon in Aries will just blurt it out. And the moon in Taurus is very a kind of a solid, steadfast moon energy. Oftentimes, again, the beauty comes in because it's moon and Venus together, so they're often very beautiful. They may be influenced business-wise by that moon in Taurus with being in banking, or not that the moon particularly does qualifies you for what type of job you're going to have, but when you have the influence of the moon or any planet, for the sun or moon, strong planet, in the sign of Taurus, banking or real estate, property, things like that. So moon and Taurus people are usually, and they're known for their stubbornness emotionally. So if you get into an argument with the Taurus, they may clam up and not talk to you or not discuss it till they're ready. When they're ready, they'll talk. That type of thing. And moon in Gemini is often very communicative. And a Gemini moon, when we think of Gemini, we think of Mercury, and so their emotions are going to be more of a thought process rather than emoting love energy or emoting thought energy. It's more of a thought energy than an emotion. Do you understand that? Yes. Instead of feeling, it's more of thought.
Like it's in the head before
Exactly.
It gets to the heart.
Absolutely correct, yes. Because they are mindy people, and they're going to analyze the thought. They're going to analyze the feeling before expressing it. They'll think about it before they express it. Where moon in Cancer, that's the natural ruler of the moon, those individuals are extremely sensitive, very, very perceptive, receptive, wonderful nurses, doctors, nurturers. They work beautifully with women. A moon in Cancer might be a hairstylist, makeup artist, home interior designer, because the moon rules the 4th house or the home. So oftentimes you'll have Cancer people that are extremely creative with like pottery or some kind of process like that. But home decorating is always important to them. They usually do a beautiful job at it. And they're very, as I said, very sensitive, because that's the ruler of the moon. Cancer is the ruler of the moon. So oftentimes they will be able to really, they feel much more than most of us because it's a feeling energy, and they have to be very careful of that absorption. Now, Moon in Leo is often like very outgoing emotionally. They can be very dramatic emotionally as well, and really flare up and kind of show their attitude.
They express their feelings easily?
Very easily and very dramatically usually. I like the energy of the Moon in Leo. You usually know where you're at with them. They'll tell you exactly what they think and where you're at with them. What you see is what you get, perhaps. Now, Moon in Virgo is again in analytical thinking because it's ruled by Mercury. So again, this person will process the feeling before they feel the feeling. Virgo people, I always tell them, whether it's ascendant, moon, sun, Mercury in Virgo, worriers. They worry too much, and that's one of the things they need to work on is the worry part, because their mind gets overactive and they may get stuck on, like a broken record, stuck on something and not be able to disseminate the information. Moon in Libra, again, that's a beautiful place for the moon because of the Venus connection. And so they're very, again, sitting on the fence emotionally. I have my moon in Libra, actually. And as a child, I was called a crybaby because I was very sensitive. But moon in Libra likes beautiful things around, like lovely paintings and art. Whether they're artists or not, I love art. I can't draw or paint, but I really love art.
Does that apply to music too?
Yes, music and art, anything like that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Josie. Now, moon in Scorpio, this is Pluto's energy. When you have the moon in Scorpio, it's like working with somebody with Pluto. And these individuals will often cover up or hide their feelings and not express them. They're secretive to begin with. Scorpio is known for being secretive. They are ruled by Pluto, so a lot of times they'll take in and they won't let you know that you've hurt them. They won't allow you to see that hurt. And eventually, they say the scorpion stings. You might get a sting back, or they may just come clean and tell you how they're feeling, and their feelings are hurt. And they're the water sign. All signs are intuitive, but I feel that the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, have the leg up on intuition because of the water. But you could also be influenced by having a close Neptune. That would all make you kind of, so if you had Neptune close to your moon, it would make you more watery than your regular. So Sagittarius, fun-loving all the time. The thing with Sag and moon in Sag is that they can overdo because it's Jupiter's energy. So wherever Jupiter is touching, and that's Jupiter with your emotions, would make everything larger than life. So emotionally, if there was an issue with the Sag, they may blow it up. They may see it and really believe it as being much bigger than it is. But they're usually very exuberant, very fun-loving, and they're always fun. I always like Sagittarius.
Have you done Mars yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
We're on the moon tonight, but we can do Mars sometime.
No, I meant.
Oh, Aries, yes. Mars would be.
Did
Aries.
you already do that?
I did.
I kind of.
I can go back, though, if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Because Mars is. People usually consider it with hostile or war-ish.
War-ish.
I'm just wondering
true.
if people with that Mars energy would be more susceptible to emotional.
Would the moon make it worse?
Yes. I feel yes, that can definitely happen because they are warlike. But they're very assertive too. So oftentimes, you might need somebody a little assertive to get things going. But the moon and Mars together, they can be fly off the handle quickly, make up just as quickly. Like get angry and then make up 2 seconds later.
Because in effect, the sun, the light that we're receiving on the planet is a mirror refraction. So it's 180 degrees out of phase of normal light.
Right.
So it does have a very definite effect on people.
Definitely.
And I was just wondering, if it shows up more in the hostilities of people with Mars.
I think it would be depending on what other aspects the person had to that moon. Certainly, moon and moon and Aries are going to be assertive and probably going to fly off the handle a lot and be very excitable. That's very true. And be aggressive because they are the first. They're going to push their way through no matter what.
Now, what would be the ideal combination for something more spiritual or healing-wise?
Healing-wise, I always look to Scorpio for the healers. Not, but everybody can heal. But if you look at a Scorpio, because Pluto, you have to go down deep to dig out whatever's under the surface. So Scorpio has the ability to go deep in. But all your water signs, not that anybody's more spiritual than others, but Neptune definitely spiritual. So if you have your moon in Pisces or Neptune close with the moon, you would have that combination of a good healer. And Scorpios, of course, Cancer. There's many, but the combination of Neptune and the Pluto energy as well, because Pluto is going to transform and transmute the energy.
Yeah. Does it show up at a particular time in people's lives when they have these aspects?
The Pluto energy, for example, right now, Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn for a very long stay. Pluto stays between 12 and 30 years in a sign, and it's in Capricorn right now. So if somebody has a moon in Capricorn, for example, they may be, with Pluto on the moon, be experiencing, looking back at a lot of drudge that they hadn't brought up before that needs to be transmuted, that needs to be cleared.
I've never heard the term drudge before, so. What is?
Drudge is
Dredge it up.
the dredge stuff could be
bring
called
it up,
drudge.
dredge it up, dredge it up. Bring it up to the surface, whatever's like buried
You
underneath.
mean emotions or?
Yeah, emotions. Well, moon would be
Resentments?
emotion. So Pluto with the moon would help you to bring up maybe past emotional hurts and pains that you haven't really looked at. You've buried them deep down.
Something that happened when you were a child, or are you talking
Absolutely.
past lives?
Both.
Either or either.
Either or either. At all. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just talking about, current astrology, but also past stuff. It could still have somewhat of a small effect on us because of
I
the
agree.
experiences we've had.
Well, I think your chart is made up from the experiences you've had in a past life. And if we, I know as spiritual folk, we do believe that we come in with a certain lifestyle pattern already set. And the chart shows you what you've chosen, if you will. This is what you chose. So why did you choose this? Because you have specific areas that you need to work on in this lifetime.
Now, how do future lives get affected by the astrology charts in this lifetime?
Karma
Yeah,
is one
I
thing.
believe that would be true.
Well, I mean, no. How do future lives affect this life?
You're talking about the concept of all lives occurring
Well, they're
at
all
once.
simultaneous,
Right.
right?
Right.
God is
True.
simultaneous.
True.
So if it's the past is affecting us, the future's going to be affecting us.
Exactly.
I've never heard anybody talk about it. How does this work?
You may never hear anybody talk about it either. Right? I feel like whatever you do, here's your roadmap, your astrological roadmap. What you do with this energy is going to be all about your tomorrow, because what we create today is what we get tomorrow, right?
Yeah, there has to be some
So
connection.
at what point does free will come into it?
There's
I think
plenty
free
of
will's
free
always
will.
there. Free will's
We're
always there.
choosing all the time. We're influenced by this, but we're not. It's not
Exactly.
beyond our
Ability to
to
choose.
choose.
So
Exactly.
basically, we come in with certain potentials that are reflected in our astrology chart.
Absolutely. And
then
interesting,
we-
because the north node points to where we're going, and the south node is where we've been. And these are the nodes of the moon. And an astrology will talk to you about your nodes. And if say we'll use Virgo Pisces, for example. If the south node is in Virgo, that's a familiar pattern to you, and you may fall back into that pattern. And so if the south node is connected to something else in your chart, it's going to be stronger. But suppose you have your south node in Virgo, and maybe in a past life, if that's what the south node really signifies, which we say in astrology it does, you were critical, you were too mindy, you weren't welcoming to others, you were always analyzing and detail-orienting everything rather than relaxing and allowing the flow. And if the north node, which would be opposite, would be having compassion for self and compassion for others, because Pisces is all about compassion and unconditional love.
Now, the south node, picking things up from the past, is it only picking things up from the last life, or is it picking things up from other lifetimes before that?
It's the habit patterns of the past. So if your habit patterns
Haven't changed.
haven't changed from lifetime after lifetime, then the habit patterns, you're ingrained in that. And the North Node's giving you the opportunity to go toward what you came into this lifetime to become or to involve yourself in would help you for the next lifetime.
I haven't seen too much in the line of consistencies. They're all so very different.
Consistencies as far as
Habits of a lifetimes.
for
I mean,
yourself?
Yeah, I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of them seem to be evolved around healing and priesthoods. All different kinds of religions.
But always there,
But
always there.
But see, now,
Not always,
But past life always, so in part, most of your past lives, you've done the healing work, you've done
Yeah,
that. And so
many
you come into this
herbalists
lifetime doing it again.
you know,
yeah, but you're not, priest, now we're all enjoined to try to, anyone who's been in the priesthoods or the nunnery or religious, secular, religious life, is being enjoined to do it within the population, within marriages, within interrelationships with lots of people, not isolated in religious communities.
yeah, I think there's going to be basically an awakening that we really don't need the church to hold our hand and say, this is what you believe, because the church is within each of us.
Absolutely. True.
That level of spirituality.
But what we do need is like-minded people. We don't need to each of us be walking around being the only one with an idea. We need companionship.
Agreed.
At a certain point, that's not a bad thing. Because otherwise,
We don't need everybody sitting on top of a mountain. We need,
but if they don't sit
Harmony.
on top of the mountain to clarify their thinking, to clarify that wisdom from within themselves.
but then they
and
must
then-
come down off the mountain
Yeah,
and
at a
share
certain
that with
Put it
everyone
into
else.
action.
And-
But they have
exactly.
to reach into that spark of divinity within themselves.
Yes, there's always a time for that.
And please understand that astrology is just a roadmap. And of course, you can go in another direction if you like. It's just telling you what your potentials are.
It's telling you what you have to work with
What tools you have.
and where you will do well and where you will be beating your head against the wall,
Exactly.
not doing as well.
And when we talked about the North Node a little bit, that's saying, if you go to the energy of the North Node, things are going to go smoother for you. But when we get lazy, we fall back to our South Node. We're going to go back to what's familiar, even if because it's more comfortable. When you have to strive to get another place, you have to push forward. It's a little harder to do that. But your North Node, you're going to strive for and get more out of your life by doing your North Node energy.
Now, how do
There are many
accidents
systems.
apply?
How do accidents apply?
I mean, we come in, we have this kind of path that our soul has decided that, it's planned it out ahead of time. Okay, we're going to experience this, going to experience that. And all of a sudden, a truck tips over in front of us and flattens our feet so we can't walk in the pure accident. How does that affect what the astrology does?
I think that you come in with this potential. So you come in with this knowing, we know on an unconscious level, that the planets are going to go around and hit certain points in your chart at certain times.
Challenges.
And that sounds like a Uranian accident, where all of a sudden the truck suddenly, unexpectedly falls on your feet. And that's depending on what's in your chart. So the Uranian energy will warn you, watch out today because a truck may fall on your feet.
And
It'll
if
give you a signal. You'll know that this energy is working in this particular area of your life.
yeah, and if you don't pay attention, then there's what we call an accident. But it's just an opportunity.
An opportunity. And there's going to be growth in it. And you've chosen it. If we believe in reincarnation, we believe that we choose what's going to happen to us, then we maybe subconsciously expect it at some point.
Yeah, like I had a rather severe accident when I was younger, and
Capricorn.
because I'm a believer in that we have an influence over our paths. I asked, what was the reason for this accident? And
you
I
get an
wasn't very
answer?
happy with the answer.
I bet you weren't.
The answer that they came back and gave me was that spirit wanted me to slow down, so they gave me an
There
accident.
you go.
But that certainly wasn't part of what I would have chosen.
Right.
You know,
You weren't listening, that's why. They wanted to get your attention.
broken backs aren't good.
They probably tried to get your attention many other ways before that.
Well, maybe.
You know, I haven't heard a lot of the messages for many, many years. You know, what people call red flags. You know, I always believe the best about people, and I was always very trusting with people, and that doesn't work with everyone.
Right.
That is true.
You know, it's you know, you need a discriminator with inside you
Absolutely.
that assesses
We all need a
what's
little bit
healthy.
of Virgo.
Or
So
you
that we
have a
can
lot of it.
discriminate and to learn to discriminate.
Yeah.
and
That's very true.
or discern, you
Right.
know, what's right or
Exactly.
what's not right.
Exactly.
You know, we were partway through
Oh,
Moon
where did we
and
get? I think we got to as far as Scorpio. Oh, did we get to Sag?
You got to Scorpio.
Scorpio, okay.
did we do Sag?
I think we can do Sag right now. Moon in Sagittarius. Oh, Jupiter, very expansive with their feelings. So they'll be one way or another. They'll either be really out there in terms of happiness, or when they're sad, they're going to be largely sad as well. With that, you look at the combination of the sign, which is ruled by Jupiter, and that's why you get that. Moon in Capricorn. Capricorn people with Moon, they can be very shy, especially as children, until they kind of build up their energy and their self-esteem. They are very responsible from the minute they're born, responsibility. And I always like to say real or imagined, because some people really won't have responsibility, but will feel they're responsible for everything. And that's that Moon in Capricorn energy, which is like the father and the mother, the Capricorn, the Saturn being the father energy, and the Moon being the mother. So there's a lot of responsibility for them. And so emotionally, they're like their opposite sign, Cancer, they will go within and not express their hurt or pain, but hold it in instead of being more out there.
Is
with it.
this chart on the table a typical chart?
This is the chart for 5 p.m. tonight for here.
And I'm going to hold it up so people can see it.
Yeah.
It might
That's
take
the
a little
energy
while
of
for them
today.
to kind of
I'd be-
focus in on it. But
I want to be persistent about finishing off
Okay, well,
Aquarius
where
and
was-
Pisces.
Okay, Moon in Aquarius. This is the altruistic energy, and these people have been accused often of being too detached emotionally. But they're really wonderful at organizing and getting big groups of people together. It's like a mass love fest for Moon in Aquarius.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
the song Aquarius?
Right, you have to work with others
Right.
to realize your dreams.
And they're really good at like a Peace Corps type person. Their moon, their emotion is large. And they may be not one-on-one as close, but they're taking in the whole. And Moon in Pisces is the compassionate. I often think that psychiatrists, psychologists, people like that have a strong Piscean energy because they're very good with therapy or helping people with therapy. So Moon in Pisces is very compassionate.
Digging up the deep.
And yeah, very deep emotion. And oftentimes they need to be careful because they are Neptune ruled of trying to find the escape route through whatever avenue their escapism likes. You know, it could be food, could be drugs, alcohol, movies, you know, creating things too much or whatever. So that Moon in Pisces is tender. It's a very tender energy.
Okay, Ken, now we can,
what does this tell us?
That tells us that that's where the planetary energy is for 5 p.m., Providence, Rhode Island, today.
And I noticed a lot of it is up in the top right quadrant, whatever that is.
That's probably it's everything's like on this portion.
I think they call them baskets or something.
Yeah, it looks sort of like a basket.
And what is this telling us about 5 o'clock today?
Well, I have to take a look, so I have to take it out of your hand.
That's okay.
It's telling
Doesn't do
us
me a lot of good.
that there's a lot of energy in Taurus today. We have the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and the Moon all in Taurus. So a lot of us may be consciously thinking about money or what I have or balancing your checkbook. Venus is in Gemini, so the energy is, money could be coming in two ways when you have that. We have Uranus still in the sign of Aries, which has been causing some issues with some of us, with Libra people mostly. But now that it's passed to 17 degrees, it's squaring Pluto still. So that's telling us the energy is kind of, there's things being brought up to the surface, and we know that just politically and things like that. We're getting, there's no, sort of like anything that's been buried or hidden, Uranus is going to shake it up and bring it up. So there's not going to be any secrets.
That's good.
I'm not political, but I would think during this political race there won't be too many secrets. The people are going to have to take ownership on any promises they've made.
So is there anything in here that would foretell something that's coming that's nasty, or something that's very good, or how do we use it? That's, I guess.
Extremely challenging, I think. Is there
Yeah,
anything?
Pluto-Uranus is extremely challenging. Well, it depends on your sign. For example, any Leos right now, Leo, Sagittarius, whether it's Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries are having the Jupiter trine, which is lovely. It means a lot of expansion and opportunity knocking on the door. At the same time, they have Uranus working with them, so it's kind of disrupting things or bringing things to the surface. I like the Uranus. If you have Uranus close with Mercury, you get that download from spirit. You know, you get that information. You just, all of a sudden, you're awakening to knowledge and knowing. That's the beauty of Uranus. There's a lot of good parts about it. It does disrupt a lot of the energy wherever it touches, but it also brings through fabulous downloads of information. It's really to me, it's the spiritual brain component. Neptune is in Pisces right now, and it's squaring Venus. So girls and boys, be careful of your money for the next day or two till Venus moves, because right now we would be looking at money and thinking we have plenty to spend, but we're not seeing it clearly right now. That's one of the things I see for today, with Mercury square to Venus. So we'll think we'll have a lot there, but maybe we really won't.
We forgot about something that check we wrote.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And Mercury, let's see, Mercury's in Taurus, so, and actually Mars is conjunct Mercury. So there may be some communication that's not that easily, there might be some fiery communication or some stubborn communication, but I think people are thoughtful in what they're saying. They're not blurting things out. They're
How do
being
people
careful.
use this?
If this is for today, so what I would do if I were reading your chart, I would take your natal chart and take this energy of today and put it around your natal chart to see what's influencing your particular natal horoscope right now.
Yeah, because you have a basic foundation, and this is added to it.
Right, these are called transits.
These have
Where
help
the
bend the
energy is
energy,
today.
as it were.
Just shows you where the energy is today and what we can expect, like rainstorms.
I want to thank you for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me, my pleasure.
Patricia Mellman. Now, how do people contact you?
My email address is mamapatSM@AOL.com. Just like it sounds, Mama, MAMAPAT, S like Sam, M like Mary, @AOL.com.
And she also has other skills. She's a talented
Yes. medium.
She serves down the Wigwam, which
Tarot.
I see you on the schedule down there for 3 or 4 times. The Wigwam is a spiritualist camp in Onset, 10:30 Sunday mornings. And she's very good at what she does, so
Thank you, Ken.
Thank
here
you
comes
for
Bill.
joining
He's
us.
late.
Thank you for joining us on Psychic Holistic Spotlight. Please come back again. We love to see you here.